Hi. So back to the farm. It wasn't just me, it wasn't just us, me, my parents, my brother, who went to the farm every summer. What happened is that my great grandparents had many children, as people did back then. My own grandmother, whom Monica met briefly, was the oldest, but there were many other kids, all right? And when my great grandparents got old and they couldn't really run the farm anymore, because running a farm, takes a fairly young person. You have, well, anyway, yeah, okay. They said, hey, to all their kids, hey, we need somebody to run this thing because we're too old. Who wants to do it? And many of them had moved to Santiago, they'd become something else. They were no longer farmers. So they were not interested. But one of them, a great uncle of mine, said, yeah, okay, sure, I'll do it. But if he started running the farm and making a little money out of this, it wasn't fair to the other children. So my great grandparents said, okay, here is the deal. The farm is basically yours. We'll continue living here, of course. But every summer, you have to invite the entire family to stay here as long as they want. 3 months, if it's possible. And, you have to house them, and you have to feed them, and that's the deal. Now, of course, in Chile, we really like family, okay? Family is really important. So it wasn't a big deal. I mean, it was great. We'll have lots of people over during the summer, and we'll make lots of food, and everything will be great. So as a result, I had many, many, many cousins and distant cousins that came to the farm every summer. So I had lots of friends, it was a lot of fun. It wasn't like the family vacations, Monica, that we took, when you were little, that it was just us. It was a little bit like when we would come to Chile and we would get Carolina, because, that's the way things are done here. We thought, oh, okay, Monica needs, and to a lesser extent, Martin, but Monica needs a buddy, so we'll get some relative, okay? It was that sort of thinking, okay. So we'd go there all the time. I mean, sorry, not all the time, during the summers. And I'd have all these friends. Now, most of my relatives, most of my cousins of sorts, because in Chile we call cousins anybody who is roughly your same age and is kind of related, and everybody was kind of related to me. Some of them were country kids, some of them were small town kids. I was a city kid, okay? I did two things outside. I played soccer and I rode a bike. Well, at the farm, nobody really played soccer, and nobody had a bicycle. So so the first time it was kind of complicated. I mean, for me, what do I do? What do you do for fun outside? And it was summer, so outside was the deal. But they had horses. However, the horses were meant for the grown-ups because they were used, to work, to get places. Horses were like cars, and they weren't about to pass them on to 6-year-olds to ride horses. Probably a good thing. However, they had donkeys. And my cousins had grown up riding donkeys. I, of course, had not. I'd never been on one of these things in my life. I was used to riding a bicycle, where you pedal and, yeah. So one day, the grown-ups say, okay, here we have a few donkeys, kids. Get on them and ride the donkeys. It'll be great. You'll learn and it'll be fun. Okay, what was I going to do? Everybody was getting on the donkeys. I did the same thing, and we start going, and it's pretty good. The thing jumps around a little bit, but I'm hanging on tight. And then, all my cousins are doing great, because they've done this before. And then we get to a little river. Really, it was a stream. I mean, you could walk across it. You could jump it. Maybe not me at age 6, but certainly Dylan could jump this. Lou would have been able to jump it in a little bit when she's a little bit older. And I'm on the donkey, right? And we get to this little stream, and I had watched a lot of cowboy movies in my childhood, and whenever the horses with the cowboy get to a little river, a stream, they jump over the thing, right? They don't want to swim, they don't want to get wet. They just jump. And I thought that's what my donkey was going to do. So I hung on to the thing, expecting that it would go up as it jumped. But guess what? It did not jump. And instead of jumping, it actually went down into the creek. Got its paws and legs quite wet, didn't care, but I was prepared to hang on to the donkey as it went up, as it jumped. But like I said, it didn't. It went down, and I was completely unprepared for that. And boom, I went over the donkey's head and bam, smashed my head. At the bottom of this little stream. Now, mind you, it wasn't deep. It was, not a big deal. It's a dry country. But, it hurt a lot. That I got a bump. And, of course, I probably cried. I don't remember this part, but I'm sure I cried. I was little. And my cousin saw this. I said, oh, oof, darn, here is this stupid city kid, doing yet another stupid thing and hurting himself. So they pulled me out and took me to the grown-ups, and none of this was very far from the house, and it was a big deal. Oh my God, he bumped his head. He's got a big bump. Should we take him to the doctor? Which was difficult because we were, in a farm. I mean, the doctor was in town, far away, and they decided against it. But ever since then, my cousins always laughed at me because of the donkey situation. And in fact, 2 years ago, Martin, your Uncle Martin, went to see one of these cousins. Her name is Carmen Gloria, and he lives far away in the north of the country. And he went to stay with her because he needed to get out of Chile and then come right back for passport reasons. And sure enough, the first thing this lady asked him was, did your dad ever tell you about the donkey thing? They've never forgotten it. It's been 55 years, and they still remember the donkey thing. And now you know it. I'll load this up and I'll continue telling you boring stories about the farm. Ciao.